Alright, this video is going to be a guide on Wildcard and Ascension in general. I'm going to teach you everything to know about leveling efficiently, basic spec knowledge, and max level content, and all additional features unique to Ascension that you should know. Okay, I have a shit ton of information to cover, so I'm just going to right into it. What is Wildcard? Every 2 levels, past level 10, you will roll a random spell. This will continue all the way to 70, the only exceptions are levels between 53 and 60 and levels 67 to 70. Instead of random spells, you will save ability essence. You use this ability essence once you reach 60, and I'll touch on that in a bit. So Wildcard is quite obviously, well, random. But there are specific spells that weigh the chances of rolling other specific abilities. These spells include Defensive Stance, Shield Block, Bear Form, Auto Shot, Tame Beast, Eviscerate, Stealth, Cat Form, Prowl, any combo point generator, and Soul Shard generators. On your screen now should be a list of what spells weigh what. You can also view this information on the Ascension Wiki, and I honestly suggest you check it out if you're a new player. There's a ton of useful information on there. If you're looking to play specific specs such as Bear Tank, weighted abilities are great. Weighted abilities help guarantee you get your core spells, such as Swipe and Growl. But at the same time, if you happen to roll Bear Form as a Fire Mage, your chances of getting Bear spells goes way up. You most likely don't want Bear Form spells on your Fire Mage, so Ascension has made a few of these spells for you to reroll, these being Bear Form, Defensive Stance, and Auto Shot. So if you happen to roll one of the other 6 weighted abilities, I would highly suggest you reroll it if you have a Scroll of Fortune immediately. There's one additional way to stack your odds in Wildcard, these being with skill cards. You can obtain skill cards from Silas Darkmoon or Birth, with the Seal the Deal, Luck of the Draw quest. For the initial price of 300 marks of Ascension, you can obtain 5 sealed skill cards. Upon right-clicking an unsealed skill card, you will obtain a random ability card. These can be for any spell in the game, with an exception to spells that are available to roll at level 1. So I highly recommend having a character reach 70 just to obtain skill cards for your actual mains. Also, if you have skill cards that you don't want, you can exchange 5 of them for another single sealed skill card by talking to Professor Thaddeus Paleo?
Paleo.
Thaddeus Paleo, and very rarely you can obtain skill cards in World from killing mobs. Furthermore, these 2 NPCs are very important in Wildcard. In addition to skill cards, they will also provide Scrolls of Fortune and Dice of Talents. They're located in each major city around most level 15 towns. Every 10 levels, they will provide a free Scroll of Fortune, so if you find yourself needing to reroll a weighted ability, I would highly recommend you seek them out for a free Scroll of Fortune. They also provide the Chest of Fortune, which you can pick up at level 52, but besides that you won't need to visit them that much past the next level. Finally, we have dual specs. Dual specs are a second, entirely different set of spells. The only thing consistent between your 2 specs is your skill card. You can easily farm 70k honor, buy a dual spec, and send it to an alt. And if you're looking to maximize efficiency while leveling, you can buy a dual spec, send it to a level 1 character, and try rolling 2 specs at once. Just remember, whatever level you swap specs, you will learn spells up to that level. You can use this to your advantage, because if you don't swap specs from level 1 to 40, you can get spells up to level 40, but if you happen to roll a weighted ability, such as Bear Form, it will likely destroy your spec, as you will roll multiple bear spells, so the risk is entirely up to you. Okay, so you understand how Wildcard works, you know what spells are weighted, and you got your skill card. Let's go over leveling strategies. For additional experience gain, you can get an Ore of Experience and Potions of Experience. These will give you massive XP bonuses and significantly increase your leveling speed. Additionally, Ore of Experience applies to your entire party, so if you're leveling with 5 people, only 1 person needs to purchase it. If you don't already have one, please obtain a loaded starting dice. You can get these via the auction house or DP shop. It makes rolling new characters much easier, and most spells available level 1 will likely be the core of your spec, so not having loaded starting dice may put you massive leagues behind other players. Now, for rolling a spec. Every caster, healer, and even some melee DPS need to have life tap. It is not a maybe situation, the entire meta of mana is centered around this spell. If you do not have life tap, you will be miles behind everyone else. As for melee, there isn't really a must-take spell, but there are definitely great options for most specs, such as life tap, and charge. Now we'll go over actual leveling strats. Hotspots are amazing. They will give you 300% bonus experience on top of your aura and pots. You will always go out your way to farm in these, no matter what. Focusing on hotspots and doing quests minimally should get you to level 58 in around 2 hours tops. Keep in mind, dungeons can still be viable if you can't find a hotspot, especially if you're in a super optimized group. Players running legendaries such as Lunar Spirits, for example, pump in dungeons, but typically, hotspots are more efficient. Once you hit Outlands, you should only focus on quests. Hotspots are lowered by 200% XP, and therefore are not worth doing. Additionally, dungeons give terrible XP, and the gear isn't worth collecting while leveling. You should focus on doing that when you hit max level. Stuff like ramparts with maybe 2 to 3 quests can be worthwhile with a good group, but it's typically not worth it. My route has me do quests in Hellfire Peninsula, and upon hitting 64 I go straight to Grand. This is because I plan on doing Ring of Blood at level 67. The Ring of Blood is a chain of quests in the Grand, where you'll fight a string of bosses, and each quest gives a ridiculous amount of XP. If you have an aura and experience potion going, you should go straight from 67 to 70. Following these steps and perfecting a route should get you from 0 to 70 in 3 hours or less. Being able to level quickly like this is critical if you wish to roll a competitive character. Many top players exploit the fast leveling speed strong with string characters like this. Also, I recommend hitting 70 on every character. Even if you don't intend to play it at max level, you can still trade in all of your marks of Ascension for more skill cards for additional characters. So you've leveled a few characters, and you got a character with a spec you like. What the heck do you do now? Now, I'll go over content available to you upon reaching 70. There are a handful of things that are solely unique to Ascension, so I'll go over that stuff first. So specifically to Wildcard, in order to unlearn spells and progress your character, you can use Scrolls of Fortune. Like I had stated earlier, you obtain these from Silas Darkmoon or Birth. Simply accept the Scroll of Fortune, look over the drop quest, complete it, find an ability in your character advancement sheet, left click it, press Unlearn, accept the dialogue, and spin the dice. Each time you complete this quest, the cost will go up by 50 marks of Ascension, capping at 2,000. You can obtain marks of Ascension from doing quests in Outland and completing quests on the call board. So there are a few additional things to note about Silas and Birth. Like I had stated earlier, they will offer you 1 Scroll of Fortune every 10 levels for free, so I suggest you pick these up while leveling, so you can spend them on abilities that are weighted, that are not free rerolls. Also, not specifically unique to them, but with Scrolls of Fortune, please be aware of if you have Talent Essence open or not. If you're rerolling an ability while you have a Talent Essence open, you have a chance of getting a talented ability. So if you're looking for a spell like Mortal Strike, keep a Talent Essence open. And if this isn't obvious, if you don't want any talented abilities, do not keep a Talent Essence open while you're rolling Scrolls of Fortune, because if you roll a talented ability, your talent point will be locked up in that spell until you re-roll it again. And now we'll get into PvP and PvE specific content. For PvE, we have Heroic Raids and Time Walking Dungeons and Raids. These instances add additional stats to bosses and multiple new mechanics. Time Walking Dungeons and Raids are level 60 instances scaled up to level 70. The loot that's dropped here doesn't go up with it, but typically there will be weekly callboard quests, rewarding with badges, mystic orbs, and marks of Ascension, so it's quite worthwhile to do. For PvP, we have Crow's Cache, high risk farming, and other missed high risk events. High risk is a system that makes players drop gear on death in PvP. Additionally, raid and dungeon gear drops in World from mobs. What gear you get is based on your item level. Keep in mind, the gear that drops is Bloodforged. Bloodforged gear gives you PvP power, increasing damage dealt to players. Additionally, if you wear a single piece of Bloodforged gear in a raid instance, you receive a debuff reducing damage dealt, healing dealt, and damage taken by 20%. This is only in raids though, so you can still gear up in heroic dungeons with Bloodforged gear. Crow's Cache is an event that happens every 3 hours where a chest spawns somewhere in the world with Bloodforged loot in it. Players will fight for this chest for a potential mount and Bloodforged gear. This cache is unique to high risk, so you have to risk your gear for this potential bounty. Also, Ascension rarely sees 40v40 battlegrounds, which are epic bloodbaths. I struggled to fit this in the script somewhere, so I'll quickly go over it here. Counterpart to PvP power is PvE power. You will find PvE power on gear that is blue quality or higher and is not Bloodforged. PvE power is a simple stat that increases healing dealt, damage dealt, and reduces damage taken against mobs. Also unique to Ascension are challenge modes. Ascension has multiple leveling challenges you can do one at a time or all at once. I won't get too into it, but completing these challenges will typically provide a mount, gear, and orbs. Those are all the unique things Ascension has to offer, but there are also typical things to enjoy in TVC such as heroic dungeons and arenas. So there are plenty of things to do whether you enjoy PvP or PvE. And if neither of those tickle your fancy, Ascension has thousands of unique random enchantments available to test and tinker with. I only bring this up because I know certain players that only play Ascension just to theorycraft specs. Speaking of specs, let's go over
basic spec knowledge.
Many players at 70 and quickly become overwhelmed by the massive amount of priorities, talents, and abilities to choose from. So in this segment, I hope to try and aid you in your early stages of the build making process. So a quick disclaimer, every spec uses unique talents and REs, so this section is looking more to provide tools and philosophy rather than full spec guides. There are actually a few talents that I consider mandatory for pretty much every caster spec, these being Raise, Alacrity, and for DPS, Death's Grasp. There aren't really go-to talents for melee, but other non-specific talents include the 20% threat reduction talents, these being Pyromaniac, Dual Specialization, Elemental Precision, Fanaticism, and Two-Handed Weapon Specialization. Many players run into the mistake of taking talents and REs which increase the scaling of stats, such as Versatile Power or Lunar Guidance. I urge you to avoid doing this, as you will find that typically flat percentage talents and REs outperform the scaling ones. This is a common mistake made by many free so try and avoid doing this. Also, did you know you can use this and this as a search bar? Simply type a keyword such as mana, attack speed, frostbolt, warlock, etc. to find any RE, talent, or ability that refers to the said word. It's very easy to do, and a surprising amount of people don't know about this, so please don't forget to use it. Finally, I'm going to go over level 50 and 60 talented abilities. Remember that ability essence you saved earlier? Well, you can spend that on level 50 and 60 talents starting at level 60. The most two important spells that healers, tank, and even DPS should consider taking are Pain Suppression and Shadow Fury. These spells are super powerful and they can easily save a wipe in PvE and provide awesome utility in PvP. These spells are not spec specific, but I see many people consider Water Elemental over these two spells. Water Elemental is terrible. Why are you taking it? Actually, it does look pretty cool. I can see why people run this. I retract my statement. Water Elemental is the best spell. Okay, that was a whole lot of information. I hope you found this helpful. I spent a lot of time making this video and really would appreciate it if you actually left a like, just so that people can actually see this video. But that's all I got. Thanks for watching.